right, class, are we ready to start our layered landscape? I hope so, because I'm ready. We're going to start now. So I've printed out my graph paper from the link in the lesson plan. And the first thing I'm going to do to give myself some help with centering my picture and getting everything where I want it to be, I'm going to first fold my paper in half, put a light crease in it, okay, like our hamburger. I'm going to unfold it, and then I'm going to fold it, meet up my corners, there we go, and I'm going to fold it and put a slight crease in it, like a hot dog bun. Okay, so I have my hamburger, my hot dog bun, and now I have my 4 quadrants on my paper. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we are going to start first by drawing 5 angled lines. Now this assignment looks a lot more difficult than it is. Please don't be intimidated. You can do this. You'll notice I have a little bit of a gap on either edge of my paper. There's a little margin there. We are going to go beyond those margins to the actual edge of our paper. We're not going to stay within the confines of the squares or the graph. Okay, but once we start drawing our pictures, our buildings and our trees, these lines will help us to keep our pictures, our lines straight when we're drawing. Okay, so don't worry, you can do this. All right, we're going to come up a little bit on our paper, maybe 1, 2, maybe 2.5 inches, so probably right about there. Okay, this is going to be our first angle. Okay, actually, you know what? No, sorry, we're going to come down a little bit. Let's do 2 inches. Okay, so right here at the edge of our paper, and if you want to, you can use a ruler and measure it. Okay, we're going to come across and we're going to draw an angled line right across there. Okay, so we have our first angle. Let me get my light on here too. There we go, that's a little bit better. Then next, we're going to draw our other angled line. We're going to come up just a little bit here. We're going to draw our other angled line. And notice my lines aren't perfectly straight. Okay, this way. Then we're going to draw another angled line that's going to be pretty much parallel to this one, although it's, again, not a straight line. We're going to come up our paper here, maybe a couple of inches, maybe 1 3/4 inches. And we're going to draw across, and this line is going to be parallel to this angled line. Okay, see how the space here from here to here is about the same as from here to here. That means they're parallel to one another. All right, our next angled line is going to come up a little bit here. Notice I'm going all the way to the edge of the paper. And we're going to come across like this. Okay, again, not a perfectly straight line, and that's okay. We don't want perfectly straight lines because our landscape is not perfectly straight. Last line, we're going to start right here, right about 1 inch above the other one, and we're going to come up at an angle almost to the top of the paper. Okay, so above our angled line up here, we have our sky. We have just a little bit of sky. In fact, you know what? I think I want to create a little more sky. So watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to erase my line here, and I'm going to make a little more sky. There we go. This was my line here. See it? Barely. I've added about almost 1 inch more of sky. Maybe 3/4 of an inch. Okay, there we go. So I wanted more sky. I want more blue up there. And I wanted more room for my clouds. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angled lines. All right, we're ready to move on to step 2. Step 2 is to add the lake, a tree, and a windmill. So our lake is going to go right here between these 2 angled lines on your paper. Okay, so from the top, it'll be the 2nd and the 3rd angled line is going to be your lake. All right, let us start with a boat. We're going to start with a sailboat on our lake. Okay, so we are going to draw, a line slightly down and over and up just slightly. And here's the stern of our boat. The bow is the front, the stern is the back. And we're going to angle down. Okay, right now it looks kind of like a rowboat, doesn't it? But we're going to add a sail. First, we're going to add a mast. Okay, the mast is the part that holds the sail. And watch how I use my line here to create my mast. Okay, I'm not going to draw on this line, but I'm drawing beside it. And I'm using that line in the graph paper as a guide to make a nice straight line. See that? I haven't drawn on it, but I've drawn beside it, and that helps me to create a nice straight line. I'm going to draw my sail. My front sail is going to come down like this, and then a slight turn down, and then a slight turn in my sail this way. Okay, so we have the mast and we have the front sail. Okay, now for the sail on the back, we're going to come down a little bit, curve just a little bit away from our mast, and this sail is going to attach to the back of the boat. And then it's going to come like this. Okay, so we have a front sail and a back sail. And there's our boat. And you know what? I'm thinking maybe I want to make this a little bit, there we go, a little bit straighter on the water. There we go. There's our boat. Okay, not too bad, right? Next, we're going to have a tree, and the tree is not in the water. The tree, this is our land, okay? Our lake is between here, but this is land right here. This is our shore. We're going to draw a tree right about right here, I think. Okay, so let's draw our trunk. Okay, and remember, this is in the background. Okay, this is in the background. So we're going to draw kind of a small tree. Okay, and there's one branch. There's the other. It's kind of like a three-pronged thing. Okay, a very simple tree. We come down, and our trunk flares out a little bit at the bottom. Okay, so there's the trunk of our tree. I'm going to erase that little mark there. All right, and then very simple tree. There it is. All right, for our windmill. Windmill's going to be a little further down the hill, and the windmill is larger than the tree. So we are going to draw an angled line up, Draw an angled line down. We're not going to quite connect them, but they're going to be pretty close. All right, let's go ahead and draw our X's. These X's are what keep the structure of the windmill together. My X's, I'm running out of eraser here on my pencil. My X's need to be across from each other. Okay, they need to be the same height up our windmill. Okay, let's erase that. Here we go, next X. I'm going to draw this side up to there, and then I'm going to start here on my graph line. And then we go here and here. Notice how these are across from each other, where our structure connects. Okay, and then you know what? I'm going to draw another set. I don't have another set of X's in my example, but I'm going to draw it here. All right. Then we're going to have some pieces to catch the wind. Okay, and these are going to, we're going to draw 5 of them. And you know what? I probably should have started with this one up top. Okay, so let's draw the one up top first. And they all need to be about the same size. There we go. There's the first one. And then this one is a little small compared to that one, so I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. There we go. There's 1 and 2. I'm going to draw the one over on this side. Three, and then we're going to put 1 here and 1 here. Okay, again, they're all going to be about the same size. There we go. There's our windmill. We have a windmill, a tree, and a sailboat. To make this part between our second and our third vertical or angled lines look like water, we're going to add some watermarks. Very simple. Okay, and then over here is water too. Remember, our tree and our windmill are on the land, which is this angled line right here. But in between is the water. Okay. Next, how about some clouds? Easy peasy clouds. We're going to do one right here in the center. We're going to kind of come around, and it's a nice, smaller, fluffy cloud. There's one. And then let's do a larger one off to the side here. There we go. 2 clouds. And you know what? There we go. I'm going to reshape that one a little bit in there. All right, 2 clouds. And on our line here, we're going to start with some structures. Okay, we're going to add a house, a tree, and a car below our lake. Excuse me. And this is where our graph lines are really going to come in handy, because we want to make sure we use those to make our vertical lines on our house and our horizontal lines straight. Okay, but especially our vertical lines. All right, so let's get our house started here. Remember, this house is in the background. We're going to have some more houses here on this layer. So we want to make this house up here a little bit smaller to show that it's further away. So I'm going to say I'm going to use about 3, almost 4 squares for a first house. Okay, there's one side. I'm going to draw an angled line up, and then I'm going to come down. I'm going to do that too far up. And you know what? I'm going to erase it because I want a little more of an angle for my roof line. I'm going to come up a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to come down. And notice I'm coming down to this line right here. There we go. See, even art teachers make mistakes. I'm going to come across for my roof line. I'm going to come across here. And then the angle of this line here is going to match the angle of this line here. And the way I'm going to do that, see where I started on my graph paper? I started here at a corner here, and I came down to about halfway between one box. So I crossed the center point between 2 boxes here, and I came down about halfway into the other box. So I'm going to do, oops, about like that. Sorry about that noise in the background. I've got some construction going on. Okay, so there's my roof line. It's coming together. Oh my, that's loud. Okay, then I got my straight line down here. And I've got my straight line down here, and I have my first house. All right, let's draw a little window. We can kind of use the boxes. Again, use the boxes in my grid to draw my window to keep my lines nice and straight. And then my door right here. There we go. I've got a house. Okay, let's draw another tree, and it's going to be just like this tree, although it's going to be slightly larger because it's a little bit more in the foreground. We're sort of doing the mid-ground right here. Okay, so let's draw our tree fairly close to our house because we want to go up into the water. And actually, we're not in the water. The tree is closer to us. Okay, but it's going to look as if it's going into the water. Okay, but it's not. So we're going to start down here. We're going to draw the top of our tree to about right here. Okay, so this part of our tree is going to be right here. So I'm going to come up from here. Remember, it's not perfectly straight. Okay, I'm going to come down and up and down, almost like a crown, right? And I'm going to kind of curve the base of my tree out a little bit, the trunk of my tree out. All right, and watch this. I'm actually going to come over this angled line here. There we go. I can kind of come up here a little bit with my tree. And there's my tree. It's almost touching my boat, isn't it? But it's not because it's closer to me. And I can tell this tree is closer to me because look how much larger it is than this one. Okay, we've got to do some erasing here too. Let's take out this watermark. because we're not going to see the water through this tree, are we? I'm going to kind of round this out a little bit too. There we go. Okay, there's our tree. And then we're going to do a car. Okay, the car is coming up the road. There's an imaginary road here. Not imaginary, but we can't see it. Okay, so our car is going to come up our road. We're going to draw our car right about here. We're going to make a wheel. And we're going to make another wheel. Okay, we want to keep things in scale. Our car is not as big as our house, is it? Okay, it's very, very rare that a car is as large as a house. Okay, so we're going to follow the angle of this line for our car because that's going to keep things in perspective for us. There we go. Okay, so here's the bottom of our car. And this is the front. The car is climbing the hill. So we're going to make the front of the car a little bit longer than the back. Okay, we're going to come up with our hood. We're going to come over. Draw a slight little angled line up. You know what? I don't like where that is. I think I made the hood a little bit too long. So I'm going to erase some of it and come up right here. There we go. There's my windshield, my front windshield. Okay, and I'm going to, again, with the top of my car, the roof of my car, I'm going to follow my angle here. I'm coming out. This is like a long car, isn't it? Come down. And here's the back. Okay, let's get my windows in here. Here's my front window. My rear window. And there we go, I've got my car. Probably going to take out some of these angles here too, kind of a little pointy. There. Okay, there's my car. All right, and now what I'm going to do is draw some buildings here. These are my buildings in the foreground. Okay, sort of almost between the midground and the foreground. I'm going to draw some trees down here, and this is going to be hill. Okay, so this right here is going to be the real foreground. Okay, these houses here are between the midground and the foreground. So I'm going to start with a barn, I think. Let's do a barn. And we're going to start this barn in the same position that this house is. Maybe bring it over a little bit more because it's closer to us. And remember, it's going to be tall. So I have 1, 2, 3, almost 4 boxes for my house. I'm going to do my barn 5 boxes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, maybe 5.5. Okay. So that's 5.5 boxes right there. And there's the side of my barn. Next, I'm going to draw my roof line. So my roof line is going to stay straight even though I'm at an angle here. Okay, so come up to about right there. And my roof line comes over. Okay, and then I'm going to draw my angled top part of my roof up and up. Okay, I'm going to come down. And then I'm going to have another vertical line down. Remember, I'm using my graph lines I'm not right on this line, but I'm right beside it to help give me a nice straight line. Okay? And then I connect here and down here. I got my barn. Okay, I need a silo, I think, right? I need a silo. So my silo is going to sort of be behind my barn. So I'm not going to attach it right here beside it. I'm coming up here for my silo. Okay, and this shows that it's actually behind my barn. Okay, so coming up here with one side of my silo, and the other side, I'm going to use 2 squares to draw my silo. There we go. It's a nice tall silo. And then I'm going to extend my horizontal line beyond both of the sides of my silo, and I'm going to come up to a point. There's my silo. All right, let's do another little house beside that. Let's do one right about here. 4 boxes, well, 3.5 boxes about. Okay, this is just a small house. Maybe this is the house where the farmer lives. Or maybe this is the farmer's guest house, because I think the other house is a little bit larger. Okay, we're going to use the same angle that we used here for this, excuse me, for this roof. Okay, so try to mimic that. And come up. And come up here to draw a roof line. I think maybe my roof's a little too tall. I'm going to come down with it a little bit. Cut it off right about there. Really running out of eraser now. And come down, down, and then draw my line here. 2 little windows and a door, set of doors. Okay, that's more like an outbuilding, I guess, for my farmer. Okay, and then my larger house. Okay, it's going to extend up. We've got 3.5, almost 4 here. We're going to do 4.5, keeping the same angle for our roof line. See how this house, you can already tell it's a little bit larger. My door and my windows are a little bit larger on this house too. Okay, and then we've got some trees down here. We're going to just do the tops of the trees. That's all that's showing here. Okay, so let's start here with sort of our crown shape. Okay, remember these are big because these are in the foreground. Okay, some other fluffy trees over there. Over on this side, in the corner. And there we go. Okay, the next step is to trace over all my pencil lines. Actually, what we're going to do first is erase whatever you can't see, because these sails are going to block what's behind it, right? Okay, so we're going to erase this angled line, part of this angled line here. Make sure we get that water erased. And there we go. Okay, the next step for you to do is to trace over with your black marker and color it in. Don't forget to send me your picture. Alrighty, guys. Oh, you know what we forgot too? We forgot barn doors. Oops. Let's give this guy barn doors. Nice big barn doors. Almost forgot. Okay, with a line down the center. And then we're going to give our barn a window too, a nice big window. All right, I think we're done now. Thank you guys. Have fun.